What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. Special shout out to my high contributing patrons, Newsome, you rock. Now, let's get into today's video with Are We Cooking? And I kind of want this video series to be a melding of the minds of the brewing community, right? Maybe you have a deck that you haven't been able to flesh out, but you've always had it like in the back of your mind as an idea. This is kind of where I want to share those ideas. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 ideas with you that I've had, and I just haven't been able to flesh out yet, whether I haven't had time or couldn't figure out a way to make it work. And then you guys can let me know in the comments down below which one of these decks you would like me to go ahead and finish and flesh out and maybe make a deck tech video on it. Additionally, while you're down there, maybe you have a deck that you haven't been able to make work in the past that you would like to share to the community, and if it gets enough love, maybe I'll take a shot at it. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. The first deck idea that I've had that I haven't been able to flesh out exactly yet is a Devour Jund deck. Now, I love the Devour mechanic. The fact that you can just slam a big creature and it gets even bigger because you sacrificed a lot of other creatures has just always been a very, attractive strategy for me, especially as a Jund player, right? So I've kind of chosen the partner pairing Rayhan and Tana the Bloodsower. The goal here is to play something like a giant Thromac or sacrifice a ton of Saprolings, and then we sacrifice Thromac and then put all of the counters onto Tana to make more Saprolings using Rayhan's ability. So the deck kind of just feeds itself, and we just need payoffs such as Pitiless Plunderer, Mahadi Emporium Master. We have Bloodspore Thrynax to again just make those Saprolings massive. This deck just kind of feeds into itself, and we just sacrifice a ton of stuff. Again, I haven't got around to fleshing this out, but depending on what you guys think about this idea, maybe it's time. Moving on to the next deck, it's always been in the back of my mind to build a Breya vehicle deck. Now, I just want to blink Breya a ton, create a ton of those Thopters, and then use the Thopters to crew our massive army. And then Breya is just the perfect toolbox to get rid of our opponent's creatures. She gains us life. She kind of does everything we need besides draw cards, but this color has no issue drawing cards. And then we can play a ton of cards that can crew our vehicles very easily. The fact that she can gain 5 life makes it to where we can easily create angels. Angels are historically pretty massive. I mean, they're at least 4/4s, so crewing those vehicles is going to be very easy. And then again, the blink strategy, so we can use Displacer Kitten, Golden Argosy, a lot of things to blink our creatures and or vehicles. We can even use Night Paladin to just start machine gunning down our opponents. This is a very cool strategy in my head. We can even use the Mech Titan Core. Mech Titan Core is kind of one of those cards that's just really fun to pull off. On top of that, we get to use the Transformers, the most powerful ones notably. We get to use Megatron and Optimus Prime. These ones are incredibly hard to deal with and can just run away with the game. So it's kind of a cool idea to me to just shove all of those together and make a massive board state of vehicles that hit like a truck. Notably, a lot of the Warhammer vehicles too, they're massive, they have good abilities, and they can create board states as well. So just getting a ton of vehicles that generate a ton of tokens and smash face is kind of the goal of this deck. And yeah, I definitely want to put it together at some point. Now, moving on to this third deck, this is one of the more vague ones, but I have a very good idea of what I want the deck to do. It's a Valrath the Shapeshifter deck. And the goal of this deck is to put counters on our creatures and then turn Valrath into those creatures and then make copies of Valrath. So I'm talking like something like a Scute Swarm. If we turn Valrath into a Scute Swarm, drop a land, we actually get a 7/5 Scute Swarm. We don't get a 1/1 Scute Swarm because it copies the power. So that's going to go ahead and just make a giant board state of 7/5 Scute Swarms. Not okay. And there's other cards that can copy themselves as well, such as Miss Syndicate Naga and the Spawn Wraith, right? Spawn Wraith, you know, it's a 2/1 or it's a 2/2, so it's hard to connect. Not anymore because it's a 7/5, so it's going to connect very easily. From there, we're going to use some small power cards that aren't supposed to really be 7 power, such as Arwen and Master Biomancer. Now all of our creatures are entering in with 7 1/1 counters. That's just not going to be okay, and it's going to be a pretty cool strategy at the same time. Kami of Whispered Hope. Again, now we're adding 7 mana to our mana pool. There's a ton of ways to abuse this guy, and I'm kind of excited to flesh this deck out, and I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this idea as well. Now, I will give you one bonus one, and it's no surprise that I'm a very big fan of Corvold, but Corvold's really just not okay for casual. So I've been toying with the idea of making a casual-friendly Corvold that does not allow treasure tokens, because if you go back and you really look at what broke Corvold, it's honestly the fact that we can generate treasure tokens, and whenever you're sacrificing those treasure tokens, you're not only generating mana, but you're generating card advantage, so you can kind of just rifle through your entire deck with something like an Old Gnawbone, a Reaver Cleaver, and some extra combat steps. So my rule for this deck would be no mass treasure token generation, right? We can't have something like the Reaver Cleaver in the deck because that's just not okay. You draw half your deck, Corvold gets massive. You can't have something like Old Gnawbone. So I was thinking about going the food route, which is probably the way they expected you to build this guy in the first place. They're like, oh, people will have fun making their food tokens and sacrificing them to draw cards. Yeah, that's not what happened at all. We just started making a ton of treasure tokens. They decided Dockside was an okay card. And, the rest is history. He sees EDH play. It's kind of disgusting. So, like I said, this one's probably one of the most vague ideas I have, but at some point I do want to make a casual friendly Corvold that does not go insane with treasure tokens. I do think the Seize the Spoils effects are still fine because they're one-offs, they're hard to loop together, and at the end of the day, it's just giving you extra card advantage, so it kind of seems more synergistic and less, hard to or impossible to stop, right? Because once the Reaver Cleaver gets equipped to Corvold, it's kind of at that impossible to stop rate because he connects, you generate 6 treasure tokens, draw 6 cards. If you've got an extra combat step, it is over from there. Now, with that being said, guys, I really want to know what you guys think about this new series that I'm trying. This is the first video, kind of a rough idea, but I kind of think it would be cool to come together as a community, kind of just brainstorm, talk about decks that we've had ideas about and we haven't been able to really flesh out yet. So again, I'm really curious to see how this video is recepted and see what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Again, really appreciate that feedback on these new testing videos that I'm doing right now. So yeah, as always, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors. I would like to thank my patrons, Newsome, Excessum, Chicken Salad, Prater. You guys are amazing, as well as all my other patrons. If you want to become a patron, you will just get to join us on the weekly voted deck tech. So if you want to vote weekly on a deck tech that I flesh out, that's the best way to do it. Link in the description down below. As always, again, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors, and I'll see you in the next one.